Okay, today we're going to begin the last unit in this course. We're going to look at a philosophy known as existentialism. Existentialism is the most popular and influential set of ideas in the 20th century and even on into the 21st century. Okay, well, what is existentialism? A definition of existentialism is very, very difficult because existentialism has been embraced by a wide variety of thinkers and writers. You have Christian existentialists, you have atheist existentialists. I will read what an American philosophy professor, Walter Kaufman, who taught at Princeton, has to say about existentialism in terms of some type of definition. The refusal to belong to any school of thought, the repudiation of the adequacy of any body of beliefs whatever, and especially of systems, and a marked dissatisfaction with traditional philosophy as superficial, academic, and remote from life. That is the heart of existentialism. Now, what I want to do first is look at some basic themes of existentialism. First, there is the emphasis on the individual. Nothing in existentialism about the march of history that we would have seen from Hegel and Karl Marx. Nothing in existentialism about our being moved by forces beyond our awareness that we saw with Schopenhauer and Sigmund Freud. The existentialists tell us that you must accept responsibility for your own life. Free yourself from conventional, unimaginative mode of existence and live on your own terms. We're here. And I will read again from the book by Kaufman. Now this is not written by Kaufman. This would have been written by Nietzsche. But Nietzsche was something of a forerunner of the existentialists. Okay. At bottom, every human being knows very well that he is in this world just once as something unique, and that no accident, however strange, will throw together a second time into a unity such a curious and diffuse plurality. He knows it, but hides it like a bad conscience. Why? From fear of his neighbor who insists on convention and veils himself with it. But what is it that compels the individual human being to fear his neighbor, to think and act herd fashion, and not be glad of himself? And again, I read, the human being who does not wish to belong to the mass must merely cease being comfortable with himself. Let him follow his conscience, which shouts at him, be yourself. What you are at present doing, opining, and desiring, that is not really you. You can see, again, this would underscore the emphasis on the individual in existentialism. A second theme of existentialism has to do with the importance of the passions. Philosophy has traditionally emphasized reason, and the passions have always been seen as dangerous and irrational. And the belief traditionally has been that the passions should be tightly controlled by reason. You can think back to Plato. But the existentialists say to live fully is to passionately commit yourself to a way of life you have chosen. It is the passions that give life meaning. Now, this passion can be purely inward, but you should have a passionate commitment to what you are engaged with. And a third theme of existentialism has to do with the concept of freedom. And I do not mean necessarily political freedom. What they mean when they talk about freedom has to do with personal freedom. how we think of ourselves, and how we behave. Freedom has to do with making choices, and this is a big, and important theme here with the existentialists, the importance of choice and the choices that we make in our lives. It has to do with taking responsibility for your life. Now, we're not free to be anything we want. We're part of a world that places us in a historical context, a world of causal conditions. And the existentialists know that, and they remind us that we are not outside of certain contexts. The question is, what do we make of ourselves under these conditions, under the conditions of our lives there? Fully realized existence, the existentialists tell us, is to be engaged and to be active in the world. And the existentialists tell us we don't find out who we are by thinking, by reflecting. We find out who we are by what we do, by how we live our lives. So the existentialists would tell you, you must discover who you are, what is important to you, what you want to do, and then you must passionately commit yourself to developing your talents and abilities. Existentialism rejects the idea of the contemplative life, and it embraces the idea of the active life.